Let's talk about using light and shadow to give you some depth in a painting. Beginner painters often struggle with how to create depth in a painting, especially when dealing with strong contrasts like light and shadow. This painting really gives us a perfect setup to explain how to handle shadows and light. So today we're going to talk about how to block in shadow versus light early for a strong composition, why a shadowed foreground pulls the viewer in, and how warm versus cool colors help push space back. We're also going to talk about how to soften and cool distant elements to suggest atmosphere. So let's get started. A value study like this is a very helpful way to organize a painting. It also enables you to improve the composition with the value study and clarify the design for the image. Value studies involve breaking down the image to its lights and darks, focusing on the large shapes rather than the details, which you can see here on the bottom and to the right. I did my block in with red iron oxide. I tried to lay down the shadows where they're approximately going to be. You can compare this to the photo, and at least you kind of get a feel for what's where, and the block in is really telling you where your values are. So the next step is I'm going to refine it, add some purples in there for additional contrast, and take it from there. I like to start with the darks in a painting. I believe they help to define the light and create a sense of light. You can mix transparent colors to make the dark and then thin the mixture with Gamsol. Block in the underpainting by toning the surface with this mixture and then wipe the tone away for the lights. Here's where we're at. So I added a type of purple with alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue, and I added a little bit more alizarin crimson. It probably should have been more purple, but it really helped to solidify where the dark areas are. So let's go from here. Use different color families in light and dark areas. As you can see, I've got lots of purple in the road shadows, and I'm trying to leave the red iron oxide visible in every area of the painting. I like paintings that show the under painting through. I think it gives it some cohesion. This part right here is kind of a little too dark. I'm going to try to get some lighter green underneath it. I still want that red iron oxide to show through. And then I have sort of a gray. I've already got it kind of penciled in here. In the shadow groups, I've got purple, ultramarine blue, red iron oxide, and a little bit of cobalt blue. And in the light groups, I've got red iron oxide, cobalt blue, that's for the road, and kind of a gray, which is cobalt blue, red iron oxide for the cliffs, which are right here, which are the sort of white looking cliffs, and then that's going to be what's up front right here. So I've got to get that done also. I've got several different green options I'm putting in these trees. Ultramarine blue and yellow medium, and I've got also cobalt blue and yellow medium. I'm trying to let the burnt sienna show through, but my natural tendency is to cover it up, but you know, it really looks much nicer when it shows through. I'm making another green with ultramarine blue and cat yellow medium and lemon, adding just a tinge of alizarin crimson to dull it. Now the stand of trees, as it reaches the outer edge, is going to have some lighter greens, but it also is going to have some more oranges and golds, because this obviously was a picture taken in the autumn. It's a couple days later and I decided to get back to it. I studied this photograph and I studied this painting yesterday briefly and discovered some changes that I need to make. So let me show you what I need to fix. If you look at the photo, you will see that the line for the road is a little bit different. So I'm gonna bring the road out this way. I'm gonna add a little bit more of a curve to it here. And I decided I needed to sort of define this side of the road a little bit better. I realized from looking at the photo that there's a rock, a big rock behind it right here. And I think if I could get that in there, it might look better. But I did try to briefly put it in there yesterday, and it's too big and it's too far away from the tree. So I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna put it down here, get it behind the tree, see if I can get the colors right, and turn that back into foliage. So that's the plan for today, and I'm actually hoping I can finish. So we shall see. Let's get going. So I'm taking the road out here. So I realized my focal point is more than likely this area and the road and the light on the distance. So I kind of painted over it. I wanted the road to be more homogeneous in color. And I'm redoing the shadows on the road because it's in the distance. We need to have those a little lighter, a little more blue, or cooler, I should say. We need to have it cooler. Sometimes it's just a matter of putting a little bit of this, then painting over with a little bit of that, and keep adjusting. The shadows do kind of overlap on the side of the street here, and they need to be slightly different color. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better about this shadow color. I've spent about 3 hours working on this painting. I'm going to show you what I've done and what I think I need to do to it to finish. So what I wonder when I look at this painting is this too dark? Does this need more contrast in it? Something a little brighter. This is in shadow. I did lighten this because I thought it was just a purple mess. So I added green to it because it's basically a bush. What I just noticed is the sun's coming from this direction, and over here I've got the light part of the tree here, which doesn't fit. This is shadow, this is light, and maybe if there's a tree over here that's causing shadow, this would work, but this probably needs to be fixed. I'm not sure what that is. That needs to be fixed. This is obviously in shadow. I lightened these shadows right here. I'm a little bit happier with up here. This whole thing looks a lot better to me. The only other major question I have is, this is sort of cerulean. This is cobalt blue with some phthalo blue. This seems to be like a dividing line, and it kind of doesn't go. So I think I'm going to put a little more cobalt blue right here. I might add something to brighten the top of these clouds, but I'm almost done. I can't work on this forever. This is possibly the final painting. I'm going to take a look at it tomorrow and see if I need to do anything else. But it was a little bit labor intensive, but I do like the orange colors. Let me know if you have any comments. Happy painting!